Bonjour à tous, merci de nous
Hello.
rejoindre pour cet
Thank you
entretien.
for
Nous sommes
joining
en
us for
compagnie
this
du chef
interview
de la
with
diplomatie
the
européenne,
EU Foreign
l'Espagnol
Policy
Josep
Chief,
Borrell, qui est aussi le
Josep Borrell of
vice-président
Spain.
de la
He is also
Commission
Vice
européenne
President
en
of the
pleine
EU Commission.
invasion russe en
During the
Ukraine.
Russian
Il essaye de
invasion
décrypter
of
pour
Ukraine, and we will try to
les initiatives
analyze
des
with him
Européens,
the
peut-être
European
aussi
initiatives,
leur rapport
and
avec
perhaps
les
also
Américains.
to
Cette
see
invasion de
what the
l'Ukraine, les
Americans are
Américains
doing.
finalement l'avaient prévu depuis assez
The
longtemps.
Americans
Ou en
predicted
tout
this
cas
for some
l'avaient
time, or Joe Biden
finalement un
seemed
certain nombre
to
de signaux, mais il a
suspect
aussi
this from a number
déclaré
of signals that
qu'il
he saw, but
n'interviendrait pas sur le
he also said that he would not
ukrainien.
intervene on
Est-ce que
Ukrainian
c'était
territory.
finalement une mauvaise idée?
Do you think that that was a bad idea for him to say that?
Look, President Biden has already said, and not one, several times, that he's not going to intervene in a war in Ukraine, that NATO is not going to intervene in a war in Ukraine. He's sending troops to protect the NATO allies in the Baltics, the south of Europe, Eastern Europe, but he told to everybody that he was not going to intervene. That's not something new. You can agree or not, but it's Mr. President Biden's decision. What do you want me to say about it?
What would stop the war in Ukraine right now?
The war is not over. The war is not finished. It's a fully fledged war. It's a fully fledged invasion. But the Ukrainians are resisting with a lot of courage. I cannot say how it's going to finish, because it's certainly not finished. And the army and the people of Ukraine is resisting to the Russian aggression.
Est-ce qu'on a fait ce qu'il fallait pour
Have we
vous,
done
Josep
everything that
Borrell,
we should
d'ailleurs,
have,
pour éviter la
according
guerre,
to you,
des
Joseph
sanctions
Borrell,
très
to
légères et
avoid
graduées, comme vous dites,
the war? We have
mais peut-être
these
trop graduées,
gradual
justement,
sanctions.
pour
Perhaps they were
dissuader
too
l'Allemagne.
gradual.
We have done a lot with mobilize all our diplomatic capacities to high-level personalities of the European Union, the President of the Republic in France, the German Chancellor, went to Moscow to negotiate, to put pressure on Putin. Putin ensured them that he was not going to invade Ukraine. He told them, and he told everybody, that no, and in any case was thinking of invading Ukraine. So we mobilized our diplomatic capacities, and now we are mobilizing our capacities on the civilian side, because we are not a military union, to punish Russia from the financial and from the economic side, and also from the personal side, with a list of people who will be sanctioned, economic sectors in which we will stop our exports and our imports, but mainly our technological exports on the transportation and energy and technological fields, and we are blocking the Russian financial capabilities in order to isolate them from taking resources from the financial markets of the European Union and sanctioning a group of banks that will be also stop on their activities in Europe. We do what we can do as much as we can. 100%. We mobilize our capacities in order to punish Russia and to damage the economy, and mainly the people that rule in Russia.
Alors Vladimir Putin ne voulait pas d'une extension de l'OTAN. Il a expliqué à plusieurs reprises. Aujourd'hui, certains pays neutres comme la Suède, par exemple, repensent à une candidature à l'OTAN qui semble, vous disiez, l'Union européenne n'est pas une protection militaire qui semble à même de les protéger. Est-ce que ça n'est pas contre-productif ce qu'il a fait aussi d'un certain point de vue?
Protecting Europe or not? Is this counterproductive?
Look, every country has the right to decide their foreign policy, and their policy of alliances has been recognized since 1975 in Helsinki. I don't know what Sweden or Finland or whoever wants to do about their status and their political alliances, but it cannot be determined by a powerful neighbor using military pressure on them. A sovereign country must be able to decide what to do with respect to their foreign policy and their policy of alliances. If not, it would not be a sovereign country.
Alors justement, pour ce qui est des pays effectivement
to sovereign countries, indeed. How far do you think Vladimir Putin will go in Ukraine? And do you think he may have incursions into other countries? You know that there are separatists, the seeds of separatism have been sowed in other eastern countries, in Moldova, in Georgia, and there are other conflicts brewing as well.
I certainly don't know what Mr. Putin has in his mind and what are their intentions. But after having said so many times that he was not going to invade Ukraine and doing what he's doing now, it's certainly not someone that you can trust. Not at all. Nobody can trust Mr. Putin after what has happened. It's not a reliable partner for anyone, especially not for us. Who can believe on the word of Putin after what he has done and he's doing? I don't know which are their future intentions, but certainly nobody has trust on him.
Est-ce qu'on peut totalement exclure de la
Can we
part
completely
des Américains et
exclude
même des Européens à l'avenir
that the Americans or Europeans would have a military intervention through NATO, for example?
The only thing I can say is that the European Union is not a military union. It has no the capacity to intervene militarily in a conflict. It has not been built for that. And NATO, I am not responsible of NATO, but the Secretary General of NATO and the President of the most important and most powerful member of NATO has said what they have said, that they were not going to intervene. I don't feel responsible for that. If you want to know more about NATO, ask NATO.
Alors, Monsieur Zelensky, à la tête de l'Ukraine, a demandé aux Européens et à la communauté internationale d'actionner ce qu'il qualifie d'armes nucléaires, en l'occurrence, ce qui marcherait, selon lui, sur Vladimir Poutine, c'est justement de suspendre son implication dans le système SWIFT, réseau interbancaire.
All kind of actions are on the table. What we decided 3 days ago and what we decided, what the political guidance gave us yesterday at the European Union Council, it doesn't exhaust all kinds of measures that can be taken. Today, the European Union will meet on the format of the Foreign Affairs Ministers' Council and will take decisions. Everything is on the table. This specific measure yesterday had not enough consensus, which doesn't mean that we can take it in the future.
Est-ce que les 27 ne sont pas divisés précisément parce que certains
member nations not divided because some think that they have too much to lose economically if the sanctions are too tough, in particular removing Russia from the SWIFT system? And are some countries a bit panicked, thinking about the bad memories of Russian tanks in their territory?
Member states from the east of Europe have a strong memory, still a vivid memory of what has happened to them during the Soviet domination, especially the Baltic countries. All former members of the Soviet Empire who had been for years under the Soviet domination have a very dire remembering of what happened to them. So certainly they are much more afraid of having to pass from situations like this, and they want to prevent and they want to put all the pressure in order to avoid any kind of Russian actions against them. And there are others who have other kind of considerations, and we decide by unanimity, and unanimity was not reached at that moment. It doesn't mean that it cannot be reached in the future. Everything is on the table, but this measure didn't get enough consensus in order to be taken today.
Some member states have decided to suspend the pro-Kremlin news agency Russia Today, because today it's also a war of communication and influence, a soft power war. Is this important also?
Yes, very much important, because Putin is not only willing to conquer land and to invade countries, he wants also to conquer the mind of the people. And that there is what I'm saying since quite a long time, a battle of narrative, trying to explain why they do things. all the Russian narrative, if you have a look at the media and the officials, at the way they widespread the understanding of the situation, is that in Ukraine it was going on a kind of genocide against the Russian people, and Zelensky is a criminal, is a Nazist, and that they have to go and to take Kyiv in order to clean Ukraine of fascism and Nazism. This fight on the networks, on the press, on the media, is very much important, because at the end people behave in according with their understanding of the situation. And the understanding of the situation depends on the information they get. And we are also engaged in a battle about information, disinformation, what is true, what is false. And this battle is more and more important because the social networks and the new ways of people getting in touch with each other and receiving information makes much more important the way they perceive things. And this will be in the future one of the new battlefields on the war for power. Disinformation is today a big threat to the European people.
Merci à vous, Josep Borrell.
Thank you very much, Josep Borrell, for joining us for this interview at France 24 as the Ukrainian war wages on.